Are the Transformers films everything we want them to be? Well, of course not.
Yeah, well, okay, that was kind of a cheap way to do it. Howdy y'all, Ducky here, aka the Murdoch, and we're back in this video. It's a little bit of a twofer. Well, it's kind of a threefer. Well, maybe I'll just call it a two for threefer. I don't really know what I'm going to call this thing, but we're going to be answering the last 2 questions from the Transformers YouTube community, and giving a little bit of a response and reaction to the Transformers 5 trailer.
Question number 1.
The question was, are the Transformers movies everything we wanted them to be? If I had to pick a singular thing that the Transformers movies lacked, I'm going to probably go with the designs of the Decepticons. I liked that they looked like they were all part of the same team, whereas the Autobots, of course, they all have different colors and stuff, and that's kind of okay for sort of what starts to feel a little bit more like a ragtag, sort of group of guys. But in the case of the Decepticons, I did like that they were all kind of uniform looking, but at the same time, the designs themselves did leave a little bit to be desired. And I know this is not an original thought. A lot of people have had this complaint, especially in regards to the Decepticons. The thing is with the Decepticons, they went with that gunmetal kind of gray palette with like a lot of black and dark highlights and stuff, like, Starscream's got the tattoos or whatever. They do end up blending together much more, and they end up looking like blobs, and that's a little bit of a thing for me. Starscream is probably my singular biggest problem, even though I still overall like him in the films, and for the most part, I felt like they did capture the voice of Starscream, which is good, but, making him a little bit stubby, I'm not sure that was the way to go. In the case of Starscream and the Decepticons, I would have preferred if they could have gone with like a Transformers Prime sensibility, where Starscream, does look like he transforms from a jet, from the F-16, but he retains a sleekness. He's kind of thin and gangly, which not only plays into the fact that he's a seeker and he's supposed to be fast, it plays kind of into his character being a little more conniving, a little bit like lurking and, whatever, that kind of Starscream vibe we all know and love, or at least most of us know and love. Well, at the very least, I love. To be honest, I am kind of an apologist for the films. I think they're really solid for what they are and, their intended audience. And I'm comfortable with that. I do think Transformers 2 is really bad, but even then, it does have some moments that get me legitimately excited. I mean, Optimus in particular is amazing. So, even though the films aren't everything I want them to be, I still enjoy them for the most part.
Question number 2. We all pretty much think scalping's bad. But what about army building? What if you're just buying them for yourself? Or maybe even your friends? My issue with scalping tends to be that it does hurt the community slightly. I'm not certain how much it hurts the community. I think some people believe it probably hurts the community more than it maybe actually does. But it does leave a bad taste in my mouth. You're depriving collectors in your local area of figures they might be hunting for, so you can resell them, presumably for a profit. So now in the case of army building, how do I feel about army building? I really have no problem with it. Now, I understand as a collector, it can be frustrating if you're just looking for a single generic figure and you just can't find them because people in your community or your local area or whatever are buying up a bunch of them. It took me a while to get a Viacon from Transformers Prime, but eventually I was able to get a couple of them. I think I only ever got one original, which I think I bought online, and then 2 of the RID ones. So I had 3. And I was a huge fan of Transformers Prime, and I only collected the Decepticons. So for me, it was important to have, a nice lineup of, Viacons. And then I ended up getting 2 of the flying ones online. So I don't really feel bad about that. So I think in the case of buying generics, it's kind of fair game. You're not collecting with any sort of ill intent. Is it somewhat greedy? Sure, but it's for you and it's your hobby, and you do have a right to collect your hobby in the way you want. Scalping bad, army building, not necessarily. I mean, I guess if you're getting 10 or 20 in your local area, that is kind of a bummer. Transformers 5, The Last Night. Looks like a beautiful hot mess. I am a big believer in knowing what you're buying, and I think the Transformers films are a good example of that. I don't go into these films expecting amazing film, and I like really good movies. I really care about classic film and even some foreign film and stuff. So it is important to me, good film. And the Transformers films aren't good film. How many times am I going to say film? Probably enough. But I think they're really fun for what they are. And if you're just buying into sort of a turn your brain off action movie, and I know you shouldn't always have to turn your brain off, it's an excuse people use a lot, but it's okay with these films. Just enjoy them for what they are. I like them. But this movie does look like it's probably gonna be bad.
Well, I guess that's going to do it for this triple threat video. If you liked what you saw and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that button. As I always say, it makes me feel like I accomplished something as I run this red light. And yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.